My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how the worst day of my life became the beginning of my greatest success. 3 years ago, I thought I had the perfect life. I was happily married to my husband, Daniel. We had been together for almost 6 years. We shared dreams, plans, and promises. At least, that's what I believed. When I found out I was pregnant, I was overwhelmed with happiness. I couldn't wait to tell Daniel. I imagined him smiling, hugging me, and celebrating with me. That evening, I prepared his favorite dinner. When he came home, I handed him a small gift box. Inside was a baby onesie. For a moment, he looked confused. Then he realized what it meant. "We're having a baby," I said, with tears of joy. But instead of smiling, his face became pale. The room suddenly felt cold. "Daniel?" I asked. "What's wrong?" He forced a smile. "Nothing." But I knew something had changed. Over the next few weeks, he became distant. He spent more time on his phone. He worked late. He stopped talking to me. Every night, I lay awake wondering what I had done wrong. I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't attractive anymore. Maybe pregnancy had changed me. Maybe I wasn't enough. But the truth was much worse. One evening, when I was 7 months pregnant, Daniel sat across from me. His expression was emotionless. "We need to talk." The moment I heard those words, my heart dropped. "I can't do this anymore," he said. I stared at him. "What are you talking about?" He looked away. Then he said something that shattered my world. "I've fallen in love with someone else." I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight. Tears filled my eyes. "What about our baby?" He remained silent. "What about our family?" Nothing. The man I loved had already made his decision. A week later, he packed his bags and left. Just like that. 6 years together. Gone. I remember sitting alone on the floor of our apartment, crying until I couldn't cry anymore. I felt abandoned, broken, terrified. I wasn't just losing my husband. I was about to become a single mother. Every night I worried about the future. How would I pay the bills? How would I raise a child alone? What if I failed? But then something happened. One night I felt my baby kick. I placed my hand on my stomach, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. At that moment, I made a promise. No matter how difficult life became, I would never give up. Not for myself, and not for my child. A month later, my son Ethan was born. The moment I held him in my arms, everything changed. He became my reason to keep fighting. Life wasn't easy. Far from it. There were days when I barely slept. Days when I felt exhausted. Days when I cried in secret. But every morning, I got up and kept going. I started learning digital marketing online. Whenever Ethan slept, I studied. Whenever he napped, I worked. Slowly, I began freelancing. At first, I earned very little money, but I kept improving. I kept learning. I kept believing. Months turned into years. My small freelance work grew into a business. Then my business grew into an agency. Soon I had employees, clients, office space, success. 3 years after Daniel left, my life looked completely different. I owned a successful company. I had financial freedom. Most importantly, I was happy. One morning, I was invited to speak at a business conference. Hundreds of people attended. I shared my journey, my struggles, my victories. The audience applauded. As I stepped off the stage, someone called my name. "Sarah." I froze. I knew that voice. I turned around. It was Daniel. For a moment, I didn't recognize him. He looked tired, older, defeated. The confidence he once had was gone. He slowly walked toward me. "Hi," he said quietly. "Hi, Daniel." There was an awkward silence. Then he spoke. "I've been following your success." I nodded politely. You've done amazing. Thank you. He looked down at the floor. Then he said something unexpected. I'm sorry. For years, I had imagined hearing those words, but now they felt different. They no longer mattered. I made the biggest mistake of my life, he said. The woman I left me for cheated on me. I remained silent. My life fell apart. Still silent. Then tears appeared in his eyes. I never stopped thinking about you. He took a deep breath. Can we try again? For a moment, the world seemed to stop. 3 years ago, I would have done anything to hear that question. But now, everything had changed. I looked at him calmly. Then I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I finally understood my worth. You didn't leave when things were easy, I said. You left when I needed you most. His eyes filled with regret. You walked away from me. You walked away from your son. And now you only came back because your life didn't go the way you planned. He couldn't argue, because he knew it was true. Tears rolled down his face. I'm sorry. I nodded. I forgive you. Hope appeared in his eyes, but then I continued. Forgiveness doesn't mean a second chance. His expression fell. The truth finally hit him. He had lost us forever. I turned around and started walking away. Then I heard him crying behind me. But I didn't stop, because my story was no longer about him. It was about me. It was about strength, growth, and self-respect. That night, as I tucked Ethan into bed, he looked up at me and smiled. I love you, Mommy. Tears filled my eyes, happy tears, because I realized something important. Sometimes the people who leave us think they're destroying our lives, but they don't realize they're actually pushing us towards something better. Daniel thought he was ending my story. Instead, he helped me begin a new chapter, a chapter filled with success, confidence, and happiness. And that's why I want everyone listening to remember this. Never let someone's betrayal define your future. Never let rejection convince you that you're worthless. And never forget your value. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. The best revenge is becoming so successful, so happy, and so strong that their regret no longer matters.